Hey everyone, in this video I want to show you an amazing exercise that I love to do if you want to gain fluency and melodic ideas over any song and any tune or any chord progression that you currently want to work on, okay? And this is a segue, by the way, of last week's video where I'm showing how you can use the rhythm of the melody to solo, and just using that rhythm you can instantly quote the melody and sound more musical. Now we're going to grab from that idea, because what I'm going to show you today is actually how to take the time to just sit down and write one simple pattern. And in this case, it's going to be just a simple first inversion. We're going to write the same tune from last week. So we're going to grab There Will Never Be Another You. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I basically just take the time to sit down and write each chord of the progression in first inversion, not root position. I like first inversion because a lot of sax players were cursed on just practicing root positions. So if you see one of my other videos of creating jazz lines over 2-5-1s, I talk about something called the matrix of inversions, which is really essential because the idea here is to experiment with the inversions. There's so much amazing melodic language packed in inversions. But if you want to learn more about that, you can go ahead and watch that video. Make sure you go and watch the previous video where I'm talking about how to use the rhythm of the melody in your solos, but also make sure to watch the Master 2-5-1s, how to create amazing jazz lines. Okay, I show you exactly how to break down inversions. But today, we're just going to grab one inversion. And I like first inversion. It's very melodic. You start with the third, you end with the root. It gives you a nice melodic sound. It's by itself, inversions are melodic cells. I'm going to show you in this video how to just take the time to sit down and write it. So don't even play it yet. In fact, I recommend my students to do this at another time when they're not practicing, just to take out the pressure, right? So you don't have to play. Sit down. You can do this late at night or at any other time in the day. If it takes you, at the beginning it might take you a little bit longer, but once you get used to it, it'll be pretty fast. I can do this in a few minutes, and I'm going to show it to you, and I'm going to speed it up a little bit so you can see my process of just sitting down, writing each chord in first inversion, and then after that, I'm going to show you how to manipulate the same inversion. First, playing it plain as it is, then mix ascending and descending, start breaking up the chord tones, and exploring the different shapes and melodic sounds that you can get just from using chord tones. But this is all effective if you take the time to previously write down the inversions, because at least what happened to me when I grabbed my horn and I was trying to figure out the chord tones, right? And I see this happening on my students all the time. This is why a lot of sax players just don't master the chords, because you want to play them right away and think about them. It's like, oh, what's the third? What's the fifth? And then it's just frustrating and overwhelming. Leave your horn at a side and sit down. And you can do this after this video. Just sit down and take the time, grab your favorite software. I use Sibelius. If you use MuseScore, or even just by hand, right? Write the chords of any tune that you want to play, and then just write them in first inversion. You can mix, you can do second inversion as well, but I like to stick with one inversion just to get that same sound consistency and train my ears. Then later you can do another inversion. Once you start doing this, you'll have fun and you'll go back and write even the same little patterns over all the chords. These are little exercises, right? I always tell to my students that I have two ways of practicing, which I really love. One is the long term, and the other one is the short term. The long term is, as you can see on some of my other videos, just sticking with 1 or 2 chords per week, right? I have a video about how to master just 2 chords and stick with 2 chords for a practice session and then do that. But that's long term because that's going to take more time, but you get a lot of depth. You narrow the subject and you explore the subject more, right? And you do more things. Now, this is the opposite. This is a short term. You grab one simple element like a chord inversion and you apply it to an entire song just to start getting ideas and getting melodic sounds, train your ears to listen to how the progression sounds and start getting ideas, okay? I like to include both on the same practice, but definitely focus more on the short term, on the long term. So do more of just focus on 2 chords, really master them. And then at the end of your session, you can do what I'm going to show you today, which is let's grab a tune and let's grab the exercise that I took the time to write, let's say yesterday. So don't write it and then play it. I mean, you can, but I recommend you just do this and start writing your little exercises on another time, and then just bring them to your practice session, right? And then you can read them. So take the pressure out. Don't think about the chord tones. As long as you are the one writing them down, not reading it from somewhere, right? So even if you want to do the same tune, don't copy, don't screenshot, or don't use my exercise. You go and write it yourself. It really, the process that happens when you write your own exercises, your own patterns, your own inversions, it's so deep that later on when you grab your horn, it's almost like it's already practiced. And this is a hack that I always tell my students. The same with like the rhythm. You can be singing rhythms and then they'll start showing up in your playing. You can be taking the time to like write your own phrases, your own patterns, your own exercises, and you start internalizing them deeper. Then when you grab your horn, the practice becomes more effective. This is how 30 minutes of practice can be so much more effective than 3 hours if you do this kind of thing. So again, for a good practice routine, definitely I recommend you do the long term first. Get your 2 chords. If you want to see how to do that, you got to check out my other video about 2 chords, big results, which is just focusing on a little bit. And then at the end, you can grab your exercise and play over an entire tune and just explore the sonic possibilities that I'm going to show you in this video. So let's go. I'm going to share my screen here, and I'm going to show you exactly how I would sit down, put the chorus of the tune, and write down first inversion. All right, so here we go. I have here all the chords for There Will Never Be Another. You all displayed for B flat transposition because I'm going to play it on tenor. These are the chords that I like to use. I think the real book might have it a little bit different here and there, but these are the chords I'm going to use. So the first thing I do is I'm here in Sibelius. You can do this by hand or any of your preferred software. I would make sure to write down the chord symbols, right? And I'm organizing here like 4 measures per system. The way it looks, it's going to be like a 1-pager kind of thing, right? And instead of start putting the notes, the only thing I would do is just, I want to display everything in quarter notes. Then later on, we'll add rhythm and we'll add, play it in different ways. But just for now, as easy as just doing this, this is how I do it. I just want to show you my process. So once you have that, the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here, or you can just also play the notes on the piano if you want. So we're going to put first inversion on every chord, right? So here we have F major 7. I put first inversion, which is 3, 5, 7, 1, correct? So I'm talking here about the actual chord tones. This is the 3rd, the 5th, the 7th, and the 1. And then if you have 2 chords, like the same chord every 2 measures, you can simply just go ahead and write the descending version. Okay, and then the same here. So first inversion, we go 3, make sure we got, and that's the whole idea. So this is how the first 4 measures look like. F major 7, first inversion ascending, descending because I have the same chord for 2 measures, and then I write first inversion here, first inversion there. Now I'm going to go pretty fast. I'm going to speed it up, but I'm still going to do it step by step so you see how I write all the chords. So that's the whole concept. Here we go. I'm going to go ahead and copy this, put it there because it's all the same. And then for when we have 2 chords per measure, I'm actually just going to put it all full of 8th notes. That way I have enough time to play both. All right, we're done. So that took me pretty much like just a few minutes, right? The more you do this, the faster it will be. If you have a MIDI keyboard and you want to play the notes, that's totally fine. Right now, I just did it with my, to me, I find it easy to just put all the chord notes like this. And now you see the effect. Now I'm going to play it for you in a second. But now you basically have a template and a 1-pager of what you are going to practice. Okay, and then later on, what you can do, and I love to do this, and I'm going to show it to you in a second how it sounds. But once you have this, what you can do, and you can totally do this without your horn. You can do this again at another time when you're just practicing, just sitting down and writing this down. Instead of, I'm not going to alter this version. I'm going to copy it. Let's do this. First of all, just realizing we don't have a key signature, so I'm just going to put it for F major, F major. Okay, there we go. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste the entire thing here, okay? And now this is going to be just my, almost like a variation. So whatever modifications I do, I'm going to copy and paste it, and then I'm going to keep modifying if I wanted to, but I'm always going to keep the original, so that's where it came from. This, I love this kind of thing. You can end up building a solo, right? So what I mean with this is you can start doing things like this, for example. Oh, how about I just change the octave of a few things, and then maybe play this one descending, right? And you can start modifying this. Oh, change octave displacement. Of course, you can do this just by sight. I'm going to show you how to just do it by sight looking at the first one. But if you wanted a written version of this, you can start changing things like this, if that makes sense, right? And then maybe, how about you change the order of here, right? And then maybe just change that. You can start applying. like even random things, but it's so much easier. And you can start building your own little exercises over the tune. And like I said, I'm not going to do a lot of it today because it's just going to be so much. But you can start modifying this. I'm going to show how you can just do it by sight, by looking at these notes and randomly deciding where to octave split and things like that. But you can start doing it in a written down version and keep doing more versions of this where you end up with, oh my God, like 4, 5, 6, even 10 pages of There Will Never Be Another You in all sorts of ways, right? I can even decide to change the inversion. I'm going to do maybe second inversion there, right? That makes sense. Now, I'm not going to go in depth on this because we could spend hours and it's going to be a very long YouTube video, but hopefully you understand the concept of now that you have the written template of just first inversion, you can go ahead, manipulate it more and create more versions. And like I said, a lot of things you can just literally do randomly. Like for example, here, how about I do this? Change the order, and then here, to connect better, you can start actually trying to connect the chords a little better by octave displacement. Octave displacement is one of the most generous and underestimated things you can do because it's the same note. You just by changing the octave in certain places, you change the shape and the musicality of the phrase. So anyway, let's stick with this first one, and let me show you how I'm going to practice it. I'm going to play it, and then on other videos later on, I will show you how to build on this and start adding tensions and adding more sophisticated things and actually start creating entire solos based on this. So let's go ahead and do some practice. Okay, so now the fun part. Let's actually practice this. So now once you wrote this down, like let's say yesterday, now you bring it to your practice routine, and at the end you have it all written down here. So the first thing, I'm just going to evenly just play what I have here. So first inversion, right, playing every chord, and I'm going to play like as it's written. So basically all of them ascending except for the ones that I'm repeating the chord where I'm actually doing ascending and descending. And I'm going to do very plain, no tongue. This is another thing I talk about and I will talk about on other videos. Just make sure that you get a good, like you can do it with a metronome or just a cappella, but make sure that you can play everything evenly and just absorb the sound of the inversions as you play it, right? Great, you see it's a beautiful sound, and I already start getting that two things. My fingers start getting adjusted to the chords. So I was like, oh, they're understanding how they move. You're naturally connecting, right? Without thinking about it, you have it there. And then you're also absorbing the sound of the chord progression. Because here's the thing. Playing harmony and playing the chords horizontally gives you another perspective on harmony, a melodic perspective on harmony. This is so much better than scales. You can always grab the F major scale and a few other cool scales and integrate them later to add a cool sound. But I hate it when sax players, we just focus on improvising with scales. It just doesn't sound musical unless you really work on rhythm and other things. But if you start with chords and then integrate the scales later, it's a lot better. So now once you do that, and you have that fluent in your fingers, you can try it at different tempos. Now what you can try to do is add a simple rhythm, like a 4-note rhythm, only for the chord, for the whole piece. And when I get the 2 chords per measure, just stick with the 8th note, right? But how about do da ba 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 da ba 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 ba? I sing that and then I start playing it. Etc., right? So that's already that transforms the inversion. Now it sounds more musical, just adding and sticking a little rhythm on it, right? You can check out my video about rhythm, how important it is and how musical it makes everything else sound. First start without it, then you implement the rhythm to the chord progression. A very simple one. Make sure it's the same one so you get the same feeling, right? One simple element at a time. One inversion, one rhythm. Then stick with the same inversion as just do another rhythm. Ba 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 da, ba 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 da. You can combine two rhythms. Ba 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 da, ba 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 da, ba 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 da, right? See how musical that already sounds, right? I'm just playing the inversion, but you know what I love about this is I'm being triggered. Like, oh, that's nice. I'm hearing, so my ear is getting trained to hear more possibilities, okay? This is a great way to just stay away from just playing memorized licks and scales. This is to train your ear to understand how the chords really sound melodically. So that then I'm already getting ideas for phrases naturally, right? And even just the inversion with a good rhythm sounds great already. Makes sense? So then you can try different rhythms. And now here's the cool part. Coming from my previous video from last week where I talk about integrating the rhythm of the melody into this and how to actually make it sound like the melody. Remember I did that. If you go and watch that video, I'm just kind of using the exact same rhythm, right? You have to figure out how you want to play it. Right? So let's just grab the first 4 measures and I'm going to play the melody. So that's the first 8 measures, right? Let's say I want to play it like that. And now you can use the exact same rhythm. That rhythm. And now guess what? You can just mess around with this. Just the chord tones. Look at the inversions, and now you're gonna have to repeat notes just to fit the rhythm. Does that make sense? So here's something I love to do with my students is before I actually play, I would sing the rhythm many times, just the rhythm, and then from rhythm, think about shapes, right? Before notes. Notes come at the end for me. To me, it's always about rhythm, then shapes, and then the notes are a consequence of that. And if you think of the first 2 first and really make sure that you have ideas for those, the notes will come out naturally, right? You just mechanize them in your fingers. But check this out. Now I have the rhythm, now shapes. Boo ba boo da boo ba 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 boo ba. Ba ba da boo ba boo ba ba boo ba ba. So yeah, I'm kind of singing the notes, but I'm just thinking on shapes. Then you can do another one and think on a different shape. Boo do boo boo ba boo 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 ba. Ba boo ba boo ba boo ba boo boo ba ba. Right, a lot of repeating in the same shape, but I'm always thinking about curves and how to make variations. Then check this out. I'm just going to play the notes of the inversion here with the rhythm. Oh, okay. Keep going, but you see how that already sounds great. Now it sounds like I'm playing the actual tune, but with the chords, and I'm creating all these melodies and phrases that are coming right away. So rhythm, integrate simple rhythms, then integrate the rhythm of the melody, and just keep messing around with the chord tones, right? Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to randomly by sight just going to octave displays and just move things around. So you can, like I mentioned, you can write this several versions, but what I'm going to do right now is just with my eyes, I'm going to try. Once you have the chords in your fingers, the next step would be just to randomly change order, octave displays, right? So let's grab for instance the first 4 measures, right? So I'm starting right now with just no rhythm. And how about I just octave displaced randomly? You see what I did? So I just played a note, oh, change the octave. Now you can do different ones. How about I start in the upper octave, look. You see what I'm doing? And I don't necessarily have to write this down because there's so many freaking options. Okay, so I would just recommend stick with 4 measures and now try to, I didn't even change order right now. I just changed the octave, right? Now you can change order as well. How about... change order of the last two notes. Wow, already a beautiful melodic sound. And I didn't do anything too different. My fingers are already kind of knowing what to do because I trained the chords, right? So now you get how you can start building, like I'm gonna do the first 8 measures and start randomly octave displacing and changing order, right? See how beautiful that sounds? I didn't do anything other than just look at the chords and kind of, oh, this up an octave, this down. Now, it'll take some time. Make sure to have the actual inversion really well in your fingers before trying this. But this is such a beautiful time to explore, right? It takes the pressure of like trying to learn phrases, licks. Do this. This is a more musical practice. You can always have a time where you're memorizing, transcribing, and practicing licks, but this will give you because you're going to actually find the sound that you like. Right? This is what I love about this. And now you put rhythm to it, and now do this. So this is a little more advanced, but that's the next step, right? So octave displacement, change order, and add a simple rhythm like ba da ba 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 boop boo da ba da ba ba boop boo da. You get the idea? That already sounds beautiful. Like I'm basically training musicality, and I do believe, even though it's subjective, you can practice musicality, and this is the way to do it. Grab the chords, explore them, and guess what? If 4 people do this same exploration, we're gonna actually end up playing different things, different rhythms, different shapes, because we like different things. So naturally, even with simple things like this, you can start developing your own language. All right, so you see how that already sounds very melodic, very beautiful. It's very basic, very simple, but I always like the concept of starting simple and build from there. We always want to go ahead and, like I used to do back in college, just go to the complicated lick and go and learn more complexity, but we can't even play over basic stuff, right? I always say, if you can't improvise 5 minutes straight with just a C major scale and make it sound interesting and musical, then why are you bothering trying to play entire tunes? Stick with simplicity first. Make that sound good, right? So you can make first inversion like this sound great. Now, you can add sophistication to this step by step. Remember I was telling you about the copy and pasting, right? How about I just grab this first version again, right? What I'm going to do is going to make sure that this stays on a page. I'm going to copy and paste again. So check, this is like a method I love. I don't modify this is why I use Sibelius, or at least I recommend you use the software, because if you write it down by hand, you would pretty much have to write the entire next version, right? Here you can just keep copy, paste, and modify. So you can put a note here of what you did here, and then a note here of what I'm going to show you now. Adding tensions, right? You've seen it probably in my video about the creating amazing jazz lines over 2-5-1s, that I build a matrix of inversions, and then you can later on just replace certain chord tones for tensions. And then you can play the chord tones and the tensions and mix them up. But what I do here is a very simple thing. Replace the roots for the 9th or flat 9th if it's a dominant and it fits the context, or sharp 9, right? And then the 5th for a 13th or a flat 13th. Not all the time, of course, not on minor chords and things like that. I'll have other videos where I talk more about harmonic elements, but it's very simple. Here, for example, I have the root is right here. I'm just going to replace it for the 9th. I go there. And then for this one, I'm just going to keep the root there. So you don't have to do it all the time. You can just have it kind of a combination. I'm going to keep this one very simple because it's a minor 7 flat 5. And if I put the 9th, it's going to, there's complexities there because it has to be, the flat 9 will sound kind of weird. And then this natural 9 as well. So these are more complicated. Of course, I'm going to leave it there. But on this dominant, how about I just add a B flat? It's a flat 9. Beautiful there, right? And now here, I'm going to add the 9. So I'm just going to all the roots. Wherever the root is, here, since I'm playing it again, I'm just going to keep the root there. So again, you don't have to do it all the time. Here, I'm putting the 9th. And how about here, I do the 9th. And then even the 13th. So the 5th right here, I'm going to just, and it's so easy because it's just a step up, right? Then later on, if you want to flat, in this case, because we're in F major, we have a B flat already. So this is naturally a flat 9, okay? I'll have another video where I talk more in depth about tensions because they can be a little bit confusing. Then here I'm put the 9th. I'm going to find the root, and I'll put the 9th again there. And actually, I want to put the 13th. That can be a beautiful sound as well here in this E flat 7. So you see, I'm just putting one step up, the 9th, the 9th. Then here, again, the 9th. I'll probably, I'm going to leave the root here because I have, the same chord.
the ninth, and then how about here? I do it really interesting. Okay, so what I can do here is, how about I I replace the fifth, so it's like fifth for the 13th, and then this for the ninth. But let's add altered tension. So naturally, diatonically, we're in F major. So this is like a mixolydian C7, but I want to put the flat 13 and the flat 9 or even sharp 9. So I'm replacing the roots. See that? First inversion is completely different. It's a beautiful shape, but I'm basing it on the first inversion. And here's the cool thing about first inversion and third as well, is that when you start replacing chord tones for tensions, you naturally get a beautiful structure starting with the third. You're going to get a beautiful voicing that you can playing it horizontally. That's a beautiful sound. They work better than second inversion. And of course, root position is the most boring one, right? Now here you can do, maybe I'll do the opposite as I did before. I'll leave it as the root. I'll put here, maybe I'll put the ninth and the 13th here. And then how about here? I put the flat 13. So this is the fifth. And naturally, I'm getting a flat 13th because it's F natural. And then if I go to the C natural, I get the sharp 9. So hopefully you're understanding. I'm just going to either the root or the fifth and putting it up. And then if it's natural, cool. If I like it, if I want to flatten it, in this case, naturally the A7 is the 5/7 of 6. So it already has those altered tensions. Okay. Again, that's going to be a subject for another video. But here we go, just the ninth for the minor ones. And then you can now, for here, how about I alter it? Put 13th, flat 13, and maybe flat 9. Right? And then here I can put the ninth. I can go ahead and put the ninth here as well, the ninth. And then, yeah, so for here, I have a lot of eighth notes, right? So what I can do is put some other inversions in the mix. If I do this, I put the flat ninth instead of the root, then maybe landing here. It's going to be almost like a root position with a ninth there. So I kind of have to meticulously go and start connecting nicely. Right? I can even change the order here. I'm just trying to get some connections. And then here, I'll just put the... then here I can put the flat ninth, actually, instead of root. Then here I'm going to connect to the D. Probably end up playing third inversion. And then here, if I put the flat 9, and I go to that, and I actually like that. You don't have to play all the notes of the chords. You can play around double the fifth there. Why not? Let's just leave it like this. This is a cool template with tensions. Now, check it out. I have it now here, so I don't have to think about the tensions. But first, make sure to master the original version of plain inversions. Once you do that, you can start doing this version with chord tensions. And guess what else you can do later on? You can start adding chromatic approach. One chromatic approach before each structure, right? But one thing at a time. Like this could be a 4-hour video masterclass if I stay and do this. But I will have other videos where I'm talking about all of these things and chromatic approach and that. But I just want to, hopefully with this video, I want you to understand the beautiful sound that you can already extract out of a tune by taking the time to write this thing. So let's go ahead and play around this and see how it sounds.
This is going to be a lot more sophisticated now, but the tensions are not going to be a hard thing anymore because you're coming from the basic inversion. So adding the tensions is just to enhance the color. Imagine like you're literally editing and you're enhancing now the color. There's more depth because tensions add a lot of like a beautiful color that has more sophistication and depth, right? So a lot of people and a lot of students ask me about tensions, how to use them. This is such a great way, and I show you that on my Matrix of Inversions video as well with the 251s. And this is such a beautiful way to do it. Now let's play it and see how that sounds. I'm just gonna play it with no rhythm, so you can just hear the chords, right? You see, the sound instantly is like way more sophisticated, right? So now if you add a little rhythm to it, I'm going to go back, play the first 8 measures, maybe a little more, and just the ba da ba 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 ba, right? You see the beautiful sound that it already has, right? Like way more sophisticated to put rhythm. You can octave displace as well. Once you get trained to octave displace randomly and change order, then all of a sudden a little exercise like this, you can transform it 1,000 times, right? What I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually play with the play along. Now I'm going to play the melody, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a combination of all of this. The first chorus, I'm just going to try to play plain inversions, first inversions. On the second chorus, I'm going to octave displace, so you can octave displace and change order, so you can hear how it develops. On my third chorus, what I'm going to do is start including tensions and more sophisticated rhythms. Now, for all of this, I'm going to be using simple rhythms and also the rhythm of the melody, okay? So you're going to hear me sometimes be da da ba da ba 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 ba, and other times just basic rhythms. Ba 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 da ba 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 da ba 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 da ba 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 da ba da ba ba da ba. Ba ba da ba 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 da ba 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 ba. You get the idea. Now, what I'm doing here is essential. I tell my students to do this all the time. I'm singing and improvising right now using rhythms. If you can't do this vocally, then don't try to just do it with your horn. You need to be able to improvise, and actually when you put a play along, next time you're playing over tunes and you want to improvise, make sure you can actually improvise rhythms vocally that sound very articulate and non-hesitant like I'm doing right now. This is how I train. If I'm able to do this right now, when I play, oh my God, it's so much more freedom and confidence because of rhythm, if that makes sense, right? So 2 things we're working on in this video was more about chord fluency and really extracting melodic ideas from the chords. And then you integrate the rhythmic language to it. Always rhythm comes, like I pair it with everything. If I'm working on a new concept, rhythm has to be worked on at the same time, and I attach the rhythm vocabulary because rhythm is the how. Rhythm's gonna make everything else sound musical, all right? So you're gonna see that on my other videos. I really emphasize rhythm. And if you're able to sing them and constantly work on rhythms, which you can do without your horn as well by singing constantly, I would do that. I would just put the play along and sing rhythms, and then you would play. You'll see it's amazing how much more comfortable you're at. Anyway, let's go ahead and I'm going to play 3 choruses, right? For the melody first, then a chorus of me just messing around with plain first inversion and basic rhythms, and a little bit of the rhythms of the melody. The second chorus, I'm going to go ahead and expand from that and start playing more shapes and actually breaking the chorus and changing the order and maybe adding more sophisticated rhythms. And by the third chorus, I'm actually going to start using the tensions and developing more sophisticated phrases based on this. Let's go. everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you found this useful, please make sure to subscribe to my channel, turn on notifications so you can get notified every time I post a new video. Remember, I'm posting a new long-form tutorial every single Tuesday, so please make sure to leave in the comments what kind of subjects would you like me to talk about. Let me know if this was useful. I want to know more about you and your struggles, so that way I can curate better content and the best videos that I can possibly do to help you become a better improviser, a better composer, a better arranger, a better musician. Right? So leave it in the comments. And also I wanted to let you know that I have an amazing step-by-step framework called the Jazz Improvisation Mastery System. It's my full system online course where I'm showing you my step-by-step framework. So if you found this video useful, you're going to find that course amazing because I break it down step by step so that you are not lost on the way. Right? So if you want to check that out, I have a very special offer for you in the link in the description. So go to the description, check out my Jazz Improvisation Mastery System. You're going to absolutely love that course if you like my content, and I constantly update the course as well. So make sure to check that out. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.